I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for business owners buying a business. And so Luke joined on and said he was thinking about skipping one a day. I'm totally in favor of that. We're going to, I think, do a short one. We'll see what the conversation, where it goes. So my son, who's 27 years old, he stopped by and he said, "So Dad, I'm confused about this buying a business thing, like, or having a business, me being a business owner." So part of me says, "Dad, that you think I had to own a company," and another part of you, it seems like you're saying I shouldn't, or I'm not ready for it or something. I said, "Exactly." He's like, "How does that work?" And so, um, like, there's timing. So I knew from a little boy in grade school that I was going to own my own company. I just knew it. Um, so what I did is I prepared and started having fruit stands and selling Christmas trees, and like I don't know, it was in my blood to prepare for it. So owning a company can be one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. You'll sacrifice more, you'll work harder, you will take high risk, you'll do all kinds of things. And so it's important, if you're doing that, it's very, very important, if you're doing that, that you're prepared as much as you possibly can be. So every experience that you have can prepare you for owning your own company. And so what I encouraged him to do is, I'm like, I'd encourage you to get as much experience as you can in owning a company. So if you're a business owner, if you're a small business owner, um, you got to know stuff about all kinds of stuff. You got to know stuff about marketing and pre-sales and sales and servicing and client for life. You need to know stuff about math and accounting. You need to know stuff about taxes. It's helpful to know stuff about technology, people, leadership, partnership. Like, there is so much that you need to know. And so the lemonade stand that I started when I was, I don't know, 11 or 12 years old or whatever I was, that helped me. So every business I've ever owned helped me to own the companies that I do today. And so, and then building disciplines and consistency. So there's a lot of young men. We live in northern Indiana, and it's like every young man seems to want to own his own company. So what do you do to prepare for that moment in time? How do you go through and do it? And so in the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he talks about successful companies are disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, disciplined in taking action. So the more exposure you can get to that, the more exposure you can get to the opportunities, the networks. You need to know how to network. Like, I was not a good networker when I started. I had to learn. So what did I do? I studied, people were good at networking, and I learned how to go ahead and network like they do. Now I've had people say, "Mark, you're the most networked person I've ever met in my life." I mean, people all over the world in all different industries at all different levels. And so that didn't come natural to me. That was just hard work. And so I studied it, but I was very intentional. I need to have this skill. So sometimes the short 3 or 7 minute podcast is the best podcast. And so what I would do from today's is, I think, there's a concept called manage up and out. I didn't learn this until, I don't know, I was in my 40s, maybe I've known it for 10, 20 years. I don't know. And so when you read something, watch something, you go through something, anything, you say, what did I learn from that? What action am I going to take from what I learned from it? What do I need to learn next? And so I don't know, time blocking. I don't know if they'll go ahead and include in this podcast like books that I've read over the years, and then did a short summary. Years ago, I thought, I'm probably in my 30s, maybe 30s, early 40s. And I thought, man, I'd love for my kids to learn how to think like I think sooner than what it took me to think. And I'm like, I wish I knew when I turned 40, I wish I knew at 20 what I now know at 40. I became intentional. Now I hang out with guys, I'm 62, I hang out with guys in their mid 20 or mid 80s. But I also ate, the whole range of them. So so then I thought, how did I learn how to think? Because I think very in a different way than my parents did. And I think that's unusual, maybe. And so I realized that a lot of that came from the books I read. And so I tried to get my kids to read the books. Man, it was not so easy to do. So I did a little short paragraph on, some of the best books I've read. What did I walk away from? You can have that, you can have that if that's around the podcast somewhere here. If not, connect with the individual who invited you to participate, and hopefully they'll be able to get that for you. Luke, anything that was triggered based on what I shared or anything else you have?
So in the reading of books,
Yep.
so for me, it takes a lot of discipline to read a book.
Oh,
Um,
I hate reading books. Yep.
how do you like? For me, I'd rather do something else, and then or there's other stuff I'd rather read that I don't have to work as hard to follow along.
Right. Right. And so I think one of the things, you know, like I'm not, didn't, I wasn't a terrible student, but I wasn't a great student. I was average, below average student. And so I think probably the thing that I learned at a very young age is to enjoy things that I don't naturally enjoy. Like I'm an international speaker and author. I don't like to write and I don't like to speak. And so I think learning how to enjoy things that we don't like to enjoy, I think that's a skill that can be learned. I think discipline,
Got it.
like what's the benefit of not being motivated? It's to go ahead and build your self-discipline muscles. So being married, having kids, that helps you build your self-discipline muscles. You do things you don't want to do, but you do them and you enjoy it because you choose to enjoy it. So the different books and movies that I've read over the years, these things have helped me to learn to think differently about things. From acquiring knowledge, I don't know what it was. I think they did some research and found that the average author takes 34 years of his life to acquire enough knowledge to be able to write intelligently on a specific topic. So essentially, any book that you read any book that you read, you're going to acquire, you know, 30 plus years of knowledge. Now, I enjoy business. I understand I enjoy business. And so that's what I do a lot of reading. I don't do reading just for pleasure.
Mhm.
Discipline. It's just saying I'm going to do that. And it's like just like working out. You say, okay, I'm going to start out with, 3 push-ups. Okay, great. And then you build up to 4. I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day. I'm going to spend, so you start out 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day. You say, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day reading. Okay, spend 10 minutes of reading. What you're looking for, if you don't, the trick to do something you don't like doing is like, I don't like reading. I don't like writing. I don't like speaking. Well, what do you like, Mark? I like growing. I love seeing things like I love being wrong. Like people say, nobody likes being wrong. Actually, I do. Why? Because that's when I learn the most. And so I'm wrong, I'm sure, in a whole bunch of areas. I just haven't figured it out. The sooner I can figure it out, the more I can grow. Anything else, Luke, you want to accomplish today?
I don't think so.
Yep. So you know what, 11 minutes, and these are some of the very best ones to pass this along to other people. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300 outside the U.S. 630-393-9909. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.